Welcome to Turning the Page. I'm host Donnie Morse of Confetti Antiques and Books. And today we're pleased to have with us three very special guests. First, here on my left we have Joy Bossi and Karen Bastow. And then here on my right we have my good friend Katie Nelson. She's a local Spanish Fork resident. Ladies, welcome to Turning the Page. We're glad to have you. Joy and Karen have written a new book called Joy in Your Garden. Before we get to the book, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Well, I started out in the gardening and following my mother around, but my degree is in botany from BYU. So that's where I got some of the technical backgrounds that I had. And then through a very circuitous route, I ended up at retail nursery, which led to a little bit of a spot on television, which led to a little bit of spot on radio, which led back to a little bit of spot on television, and that's where I am right now.
Okay. Now, before we went on air, you told us a little bit about the story of the book.
The book.
You got to tell us that.
The book that was supposed to be, everybody thought, for 15 years. That's how long I've been on the air with the radio program. And when I went out speaking, people would say, "Do you have this written down?" "No, I talk." The next group, "Have you written a book?" "No, I talk." The next group, "When is your book coming out?" "No, I just talk." My father started in, "Joy, you really ought to write a book." My family got in on it. Everybody's telling me that, and I'm telling everybody, no, I don't write, I talk. Then I went to lunch with Karen and a friend, and then it changed, because instead of, "Joy, you ought to write a book," Karen said, "You know, we ought to write a book." And that's where all the little light bulbs went off and where the collaboration started.
So do you have a history in writing, Karen, or a passion for it? Or?
I love to write and I love gardening. Some of my very earliest memories are following my grandfather around in a garden, and in fact my portion of the book is dedicated to him. And I think Joy and I were just looking at a turning point in our lives right at that moment, and I asked the right question at the right time. We should write a book, Joy, don't you think? And so that's what started it.
So when did the book come out?
Book came out just this March, second week in March, so it's been moving right along. It was a bit of an arduous task. Neither of us had written any kind of book, and Karen had been involved a little bit in editing and publishing. I had no idea what we were doing, so it was a very steep learning curve, but we're very pleased with the end product, very pleased with the way it came out.
So you talk about your early years in gardening. Was that here in Utah?
Oh yes, we're both natives. I was born in Park City, raised in the Salt Lake Valley, so we're definitely Intermountain product here.
Okay.
And I grew up in Morgan, Utah, and then moved to Spanish Fork and graduated from Spanish Fork High School.
Oh, so you're a Spanish Fork girl.
Yes.
Oh, well, good. Well, is your book written for the Wasatch Front?
We get asked that all the time, and it's kind of a difficult answer, because yes, we're natives, and yes, the material in here is definitely applied to the whole Wasatch Front and to high altitude growing. Now that doesn't mean that if you live in a lower altitude or in another state that this wouldn't be a fine book, because it has correct gardening principles. But we admit that we wanted a book that everyone along the Wasatch Front could immediately apply in their garden.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about your joy in the garden, and we're going to bring Katie into this. We'll be right back. This is Turning the Page, and I'm Donnie Morse.